Hello dear students. Let us today learn about nitrogen cycle. Nitrogen cycle is actually a cyclic process which involves nitrogen fixation and its use by plants and animals, and then later on returning it back to the atmosphere. So why is it important for us? Why are we learning this nitrogen cycle? Actually, nitrogen is the basic component of some body proteins. And you know that proteins are a major component of any balanced diet. Proteins makes our muscles. Proteins are an integral part of any living organism. So this nitrogen cycle is actually a biogeochemical process which involves a continuous exchange of materials between biosphere, lithosphere and atmosphere. It involves 5 major steps. The very first one is nitrogen fixation. Second, nitrogen assimilation. Third, ammonification. Fourth, nitrification. And fifth is denitrification. These terms must be looking like a big deal to you, but it's not so. We will learn about all these 5 steps one by one. Let us begin with the very first step of nitrogen cycle, that is nitrogen fixation. Nitrogen fixation is the process of conversion of free atmospheric nitrogen into nitrogenous compounds. It can be done by 2 methods. One is atmospheric nitrogen fixation and the second one is biological nitrogen fixation. During atmospheric nitrogen fixation, the free nitrogen present in the atmosphere gets oxidized in the presence of extremely high temperatures and pressures. And these conditions are available during the lightning process. So when this nitrogen gets oxidized, it gets converted into oxides of nitrogen, nitric oxide and nitrogen dioxide. These oxides of nitrogen reacts with the rainwater in the presence of oxygen and forms nitric acid. I'll show you the reactions later on. And when this nitric acid comes to the soil along with rainwater, it reacts with calcium carbonate, that is limestone, present in the soil and forms its own nitrates, that is calcium nitrate. And calcium nitrate is a nitrogenous compound that gets fixed into the soil. This is the first method of nitrogen fixation known as atmospheric nitrogen fixation. Second one is biological nitrogen fixation. You all are familiar with. In this, some nitrogen fixing bacteria like rhizobium present in the root nodules of legumes fixes atmospheric nitrogen into nitrites and nitrates into the soil and helps enrich soil fertility. Second step of nitrogen cycle is nitrogen assimilation. In this process, inorganic nitrogen compounds are converted into organic nitrogen compounds, which become a part of plants and animals. During this whole process, plants absorb nitrates from the soil. through water via their roots, and these nitrates get converted into plant proteins. Later on, when going to the upper trophic levels of any food chain, you must be knowing that plants are eaten up by animals known as herbivores. So when these herbivores eats plant, then the plant proteins get converted into animal proteins. And this goes on to the higher trophic levels too. Our third step of nitrogen cycle is ammonification. When plants and animals die, what is done with their proteins? What is the fate of the proteins present in their bodies? Actually, you know that there are decomposers, putrefying bacteria, which help in decomposing dead and decaying organic matter, including both plants and animals. So, when these plants and animals die, their organic matter is decomposed by putrefying bacteria and other decomposers found in the soil. So, this is the process of ammonification, which involves the conversion of complex organic compounds of nitrogen into ammonia. Our fourth step of nitrogen cycle is nitrification. Yes, you guessed it right. Nitrification is the process of conversion of ammonia into nitrates. Ammonium salt present in the soil is converted into nitrites by nitrosomonas bacteria. And these nitrites are further acted upon by some nitrifying bacteria like nitrobacter and are converted into nitrates, which are soluble in soil. The last step of nitrogen cycle is denitrification. Denitrification means the conversion of nitrites and nitrates into free atmospheric nitrogen, so that it may be returned to the atmosphere in its natural intact form. You know that some of the nitrates in the soil are absorbed by the plants. So what is the fate of rest of the nitrates? These nitrates are converted by Pseudomonas bacteria into nitrogen gas that escapes into the atmosphere. So this is the whole nitrogen cycle, and I hope it's not too difficult to learn. Okay, thank you.